Hello everyone and welcome back to Bitwig Studio and Music Production. This is lesson 2.16 and this lesson is really just going to be a recap, and then we're going to talk about saving and exporting our project so that we can get it as audio, which we can then share with the world. So I want to start out by showing you a few things that I failed to mention previously. First is if we select one of these audio events here and we open up our inspector panel, we do have the ability to adjust the gain from within our inspector, which is very, very handy. So we may not necessarily need to be using two different tool devices like I showed you. We could do it just down here, so we could maybe bring this down a little bit or bring it up if we needed to match our tracks. However, be aware that it is only adjusting this one event. So if we needed to change the relative signal of everything in the channel, we'd have to highlight all of these clips, and you can see now I have 8 clips selected, and then I could bring them up by 6, down by 6, or by 1, whatever you want to do there. All right, so that was the first thing. Second thing I want to show you is fades. So when you cut up audio inside of Bitwig and then you loop it, a lot of times you're going to find that it's not playing back as seamlessly as you'd like. You'd get some pops and some clicks. So if we open up our detailed view here, if I select the actual event itself, this is the alias, this is the event, I'm going to have access to using fades. And if I want to, it's going to make a tiny little micro fade in and out of the loop. And a lot of times that will solve any clicking problems, especially if you have your track really stretched perfectly. So I did want to show that to you if you were having that problem, if you cut up your audio like I did and you were doing some looping and it just wasn't quite working for you. So in my track, I'm not going to play it back for you guys right now. I'll actually include a link to the SoundCloud if you want to listen to it. But really, my little mix up here was very, very simple. I like to, a lot of times, sort of tease in a track or a part of the track very, very early on. And so I just use the intro, the first 16 bars from our second deck at the beginning, and I think I killed the lows and stuff. You can see I did a variety of different EQ things in here, automation moves, etc. And I split audio several times. I had a little section here, so the hook from this track, I kind of faded it in with both audio and with EQ, and then I pulled it out and I did a little bit of a EQ sweep move here. Again, you can draw in things using the pen tool, or you can just click and drag. I did run into a few glitch problems using the automation, but nothing I couldn't fix or figure out. So if you were having some glitch problems, don't worry, you're not alone. It was happening to me as well. So let's talk about saving and exporting. So to save, obviously, you're just going to go to File and select Save As, or if it's the first time, you can click Save, and then you can obviously set where you want your project to go. The one I'm going to draw your attention to, though, is the collect and save. And you're going to see this in a lot of different digital audio workstations. What this will allow you to do is to collect all of the samples from the project you're working on and save those as audio clips. So that way, if you're not on your computer and you want to either give the file to a friend or you're going to take it to a different studio that's using Bitwig, you can do that and you'll have no problems with your project file. So I would always recommend, if you're going to be transporting it anywhere, to click both and just save, because you don't want any potential problems ever when you're transferring a file. And especially if you're sending it off to I don't know, a record label or to an artist or something, you don't want any problems at all here. So I would just always recommend doing both if you're planning to transfer your file anywhere. So to export, it's very easy. We're just going to go to File and Export Audio. Now you're going to see that I have these bizarre ranges here for my start and end. The reason my start is all funky is because I have my start point here, and because I have just this little piece of audio selected. So to fix that, I could do a variety of things, but to just get us back to a normal place, I'll click stop twice so we go back to 111. And let's see, where is this project actually ending? It's ending here at the 221.111. Perfect. So I'm going to click File, Export Audio, and I'm just going to bring this back to 111. And then I want to end it at 221.11. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this manually. So I've talked extensively about different sorts of file formats and audio compression rates and bit depths, so I'm not going to cover that now. But for me, 24-bit is fine, and dither you can either have on or off. I'm not sure if we're ever really going to talk that much about dither, but for now, I'll just go ahead and leave it on. Supposedly, it will give you a little bit higher audio fidelity. Whether or not you're going to be able to hear that, I don't know. My guess is you're not going to, but it is helpful. It does make the process when this is printing to audio, when it's trying to analyze the file and making points, it should make those just a slightly bit more accurate. So that will help you. But whether or not you hear it, I don't know. So I'm going to change my path. By default, it's just saving it to my users and then to my computer, which I don't really want. So I'm just going to click this, and I'm going to go to the desktop. Make sure everything is okay here. Give it a second to load up, and then I'll just go ahead and click open. And now it should save it to my desktop. By default, I think it will save your WAV file with whatever your preferences are in your audio preferences. So if you're working in 48 or 44.1, that's what the WAV file will be outputted as. And I think I'm working in 48, but either 48 or 44.1 is going to be fine for this particular project we're working on. I want this to export the master for me, so I'm going to unselect Deck A and just select the master. If I was to click Deck A and Deck B, it would make me 3 different files, but for now, all I want is the master output. And I'm going to click OK. And now we're going to see that it's exporting the audio here in the background. It should go pretty quickly, I think, so we can just twiddle our thumbs while we wait for this to finish. You can see that it's following along with all of our amplitude changes, and it's also writing all the automation and everything else. And there we go, just like that. It's all done. And let's see, did we get a file on our desktop? We did, right here. Perfect. So now all I have to do is upload that to SoundCloud, and I can share it with the world. So I hope that these few tutorials have been helpful. And when we come back, we're going to talk about DJing and live performance in a completely different way from just making a standard mix inside of the arrangement view. So stay tuned for that.